You ever get that gut feeling, like something deep down in your bones just knows something isn't right, but you can't explain it? Yeah, that's how all of this started. My name's Ryan, I'm 27, and up until recently, I thought I had it all figured out, a solid job, a decent apartment, and a girlfriend, Alyssa, who I genuinely believed I was going to marry someday. We'd been together for 3.5 years, and not just on paper, we lived together, laughed together, built traditions, had little inside jokes. Man, she even had a drawer of stuff at my mom's house. That's how serious we were. Alyssa's 25, she's a flight attendant, so yeah, she's always on the move, overnights in different cities, sometimes back-to-back trips, but she always made time for me, at least, she used to. The truth is, things had started feeling off. I didn't want to admit it at first, but there were signs, small ones, like little puzzle pieces that didn't seem to fit no matter how hard I tried to force them together. The first red flag. And listen, I know how this sounds, but it was when she shaved her you-know-what. I know that might seem like a weird detail, but you've gotta understand something. In over 3 years of dating, she'd never done that, not once. It's not something I cared about, but it was just, out of the blue, totally random. I remember she came back from her trip, and I noticed. I joked around, like, trying something new. And she kinda laughed it off, saying it was just for hygiene. But that was when the thought first crept into my head. At the same time, our sex life took a nosedive, and I mean a crash landing. We used to be super active, always touching, always finding time for each other even when life got crazy, but suddenly, it just stopped. I brought it up gently at first, hey, everything good? And every time, she'd blame it on being tired, tired from work, tired from traveling, tired from life. And yeah, I get it, her job is demanding, but week after week, nothing changed. It started to feel like I was living with a roommate, not a girlfriend. Still, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I kept telling myself, Ryan, don't be that paranoid guy, you trust her, you love her. And then came the third sign, the one that hit me in the chest like a brick. One night, she landed from a work trip, and I was watching her location on my phone. Yeah, we shared locations. It was a thing we agreed on early in the relationship. She landed, just like always, but she stayed at the airport for an extra 2 hours, didn't ask me to pick her up, which was strange. I always picked her up, always. When she finally started heading toward home, I looked out my window to see who was dropping her off. That's when I saw it. It wasn't a random Uber driver or a coworker I didn't know. It was Ethan, one of our mutual friends. He's also a flight attendant, and he's engaged. Mind you, I stared out the window like I was in a movie, heart thudding in my chest. She walked in the door, all casual like nothing happened, so I asked her, "Oh, who gave you a ride?" She paused, just for a split second, but I noticed. Then she said, "A coworker." No name, no details, just vague enough to sting. Normally, she'd tell me who, she'd even give me the play-by-play of the car ride home, but this time. Silence. After that, it was like a slow unraveling. Her whole vibe changed. She started keeping her phone face down, changed her wallpaper, even changed her passcode. But get this, she added my face to her Face ID, like some kind of reverse psychology move. See, babe. Nothing to hide, except now I couldn't open her phone unless she was directly looking at it, and I never knew the passcode anymore. She stopped sending me memes. That might sound stupid, but we used to bond over those, inside jokes, dumb reels, funny TikToks. That was our thing. And now? Crickets. Even when she was home, it was like she was a million miles away. Dry responses, no cuddling, just scrolling on her phone constantly with this secretive little grin every time I'd glance over. I asked her, more than once, "Is everything okay?" But it was always the same, "Just tired, babe, just tired." At this point, I wasn't just suspicious, I was tormented. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't focus. I was overthinking every little detail, every missed call, every moment she looked at her phone and smiled. And then, one night, everything exploded. It was a Saturday, late. I'd just come home from hanging out with the guys. Around 2 a.m., Alyssa was on a layover in another city, or so I thought. I texted her, just to say goodnight, but something didn't sit right. And then I remembered, her Instagram account was still logged into my PC at home. My heart was racing, I was sweating, I knew I probably shouldn't look, but I had to know, I needed peace of mind, one way or another, so I opened the tab. And what I saw, my entire body went cold. You won't believe what I found in her messages. The second I opened her Instagram messages, I swear it felt like my entire body went numb, like all the blood just drained straight out of me. I wasn't even breathing, just staring at the screen, frozen. You ever feel that rush of adrenaline where your hands are shaking, your chest is tight, and your stomach drops like you're on the world's worst roller coaster? That was me, sitting there in the dark, 2 a.m., with only the glow of the screen lighting up my disbelief. I didn't even open the chats at first, I just looked at the message previews in her inbox. One thread stood out like it was burning a hole in the screen. Ethan, yeah, the same Ethan who drove her home that night, the same Ethan who's engaged to a woman we've double dated with multiple times, the man's been in my house, laughed at my jokes, eaten food I cooked, that Ethan. And there, at the top of their chat thread, was a message that made my stomach twist in knots. So are you gonna do that to me too? I stared at that message for what felt like a year. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, stared again. That's the moment I knew, I just knew, whatever I thought was going on, it was real, the late night rides, the distance, the silence, all of it, and suddenly, I wasn't just suspicious, I was standing knee-deep in the truth I never wanted to find. I hesitated, I really did, because if I opened that chat, the messages would be marked as seen, she'd know I was in there, but my curiosity, my need for the truth, was stronger than anything else in that moment. I needed to see for myself just how deep this betrayal went. So, I clicked it. The first message I saw was from her, telling him she missed him, that she couldn't wait for the next layover, and then his response. I wish I could have stayed longer last time, being inside you felt different. I actually felt sick reading it, like, physically sick. But it got worse, way worse. There were messages about how he would sneak into my house, while I was at work. They talked about how thrilling it was, how naughty it felt, how he'd better not leave any evidence. She told him where I usually keep my keys, what my work schedule was like, and even mentioned how she nearly got caught one time when I came home early. She was laughing about it, laughing, like this was some big joke to her. But what really tore my heart to pieces was when they started talking about the future, about their future, not ours, not the one we'd been planning for years. She was telling him that once he ended things with his fiancée, she'd leave me, and they could finally move in together. They joked about how awkward it would be to kick me out of my own place, my own place. It wasn't even just cheating, it was betrayal layered with cruelty, with lies so thick I could barely breathe through them. She had a plan, a whole second life, and she was just waiting for the right moment to pull the plug on mine. I was shaking so hard I could barely type, but I managed to send her a text, just one line. We're done, don't come back here, move your stuff out ASAP. No yelling, no dramatic confrontation, I didn't need it, I already had every answer I was looking for, and honestly, I couldn't trust myself to speak to her without breaking down completely. About 10 minutes later, she started blowing up my phone, calls, voicemails, paragraphs of texts. All of a sudden, now she wanted to talk. Please, Ryan, just let me explain. It didn't mean anything. I swear, I still love you, I just got confused. Confused? You got confused and decided to have sex in the bed we shared for 3 years. You got confused and made plans to build a new life with another man while pretending to still love me? Nah, miss me with that. But what really messed me up was how desperate she got, like full-blown pleading, saying things like, "You're still my person, you'll always be my person, I made a mistake, just talk to me, Ryan, just give me 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking." 5 minutes? After destroying everything we built for nearly 4 years. And the worst part? I almost caved. Yeah, I'll admit it, there was a tiny part of me that wanted to hear her out, that still remembered the old Alyssa, the one who used to fall asleep on my chest, the one who cried when I got sick, the one who promised, she'd never do something like this to me. But I knew better. I knew that if I saw her in person, she'd say all the right things, cry the right tears, twist my heart like she always knew how to, so I did the only thing I could do to protect myself. I shut it down completely. I only replied when it was about her coming to grab her stuff, nothing else, business only, cold, unemotional, mechanical. That didn't stop her from trying, though. She kept texting, even after I stopped replying, said she was lost without me, that she was sorry beyond words, that he didn't mean anything. But I wasn't stupid. She wasn't sorry she cheated, she was sorry she got caught. And deep down, I think her little plan backfired. Maybe Ethan wasn't as committed as she thought, maybe he was just playing the game until it got too real, and when I kicked her out before she was ready to make her big move, she had nowhere to go, no backup plan. Suddenly, I wasn't just her boyfriend, I was her lifeline, and she blew it. You won't believe what happened when she showed up to pick up her stuff. So a few days passed after I sent her that final, cold text telling her we were done, that I needed her out of my life and out of my house for good. I figured she'd send a moving company or have a friend come grab her stuff, handle it like the grown woman she always claimed to be. But nope. Instead, one afternoon, maybe 4 or 5 days after I found those gut-wrenching messages, I get a text that says, "I'm coming by today after my shift, I just want to grab the essentials, I promise I won't stay long." No, please, no, is it okay, just a statement. I don't know what it was, but something about how casual she was acting made my blood boil, like she thought we were still cool, like she didn't just blow up the last 3.5 years of my life for a man who wears fake designer belts and probably uses 2-in-1 shampoo. But I stayed calm, I didn't reply, I just made sure to be home when she came, not to talk, just to make sure she didn't try anything funny. That house? That's mine, I bought it, I pay the mortgage, no way I was letting her snoop around unsupervised after what I found. She came in around 6 p.m., still in her flight attendant uniform, makeup a little smudged, hair messy and that. I've had a long day. Normally, I'd think she looked beautiful like that, natural, tired, real, but that day. She looked like a stranger. She walked in real slow, almost like she was hoping I'd greet her or smile or, I don't know, fall to my knees and ask for her back. Not happening. I didn't say a word, I just sat there on the couch, arms crossed, watching her like a hawk. She looked around like the house had changed somehow, like it wasn't her space anymore, and you know what? It wasn't, not even a little. "I just came to get my toiletries and some clothes," she mumbled, eyes darting between me and the hallway like she was scared to move. I nodded once, "Go ahead." That was it, no anger in my voice, no warmth either, just cold permission. She started gathering her stuff, but she was moving like molasses, dragging her feet, opening drawers she didn't need to, staring at pictures on the walls a little too long, like she was trying to soak in every little moment she used to own. And then, she tried to start talking. "Ryan, please," she said softly, standing in the bedroom doorway holding one of her sweaters, "you haven't let me explain anything." I looked at her, still sitting on the couch, and said, "There's nothing to explain." But of course, she ignored that and walked right in, like this was her grand stage. I made a mistake, a huge mistake. I was confused, I was overwhelmed, and I didn't know how to talk to you about how I was feeling. Her voice was trembling, like she was gearing up for a full-on Oscar-worthy performance. Ethan was just, it wasn't about love, it was about distraction. I stood up. "You brought that man into my house," I said, my voice low but shaking. "You made plans to kick me out of it and play house with him. That wasn't confusion, that was betrayal, that was cruelty." She looked like she'd been slapped, her eyes welled up. "I wasn't going to go through with it, I swear, I just didn't know how to leave. I thought maybe it would fade, maybe he'd ghost me or I'd snap out of it." "But you didn't stop, Alyssa," I interrupted, "you let it happen, again and again. You let that man walk into my home, our home, and sleep in our bed while I was out working to pay the bills, and you laughed about it. You planned your future around me like I was some hurdle you just needed to jump over." She didn't say anything, just started crying, shaking, trying to wipe her tears while dropping clothes on the floor. Then she said something I'll never forget. She looked up at me, red eyes and all, and whispered, "I think he's ghosting me now. I don't think he ever wanted me for real, I ruined everything for someone who never planned to stay." And there it was, the truth behind all the apologies and begging. She wasn't heartbroken because she lost me, she was heartbroken because her little fantasy fell apart. She thought she was trading up, running into the sunset with her exciting new life, and now she was standing in front of me, no boyfriend, no backup plan, no dignity. I didn't feel satisfied hearing that, I didn't feel powerful or smug, I just felt sad, like this was the final nail in the coffin of a life I thought we were building together. I nodded slowly and said, "I hope that teaches you something." She tried to step closer, "Please. I still love you, I never stopped loving you." I stepped back. "You loved the version of me who didn't know," I said, "you loved the comfort, the stability, but you chose to destroy it, and now you're standing in the wreckage asking me to rebuild it with you? Nah, that's not how this works." After that, I watched her finish packing the rest in silence. She didn't try to talk anymore, just sniffled and quietly zipped her bags. I followed her to the door, not because I wanted to, but because I had to see her out, make sure this chapter was really done. She turned back one last time before walking out. "If you ever change your mind," she started, but I closed the door behind her before she could finish. I leaned against it, not crying, not angry, just exhausted. You won't believe what I found in her leftover stuff the next day. The next morning felt quiet, not peaceful, not freeing, just quiet in a weird, hollow kind of way. I kept waiting for the sound of her slippers scuffing across the floor, or the smell of her perfume drifting through the air as she got ready for work, but there was nothing, just the buzz of the refrigerator and the clock ticking on the wall like it had all the time in the world to mock me. I didn't sleep much the night before, maybe 3 hours tops, but I got up early anyway. I didn't want to lie in that bed, our bed, knowing what she'd done in it with someone else, so I got up, made a pot of strong coffee, and started cleaning. I guess it was my way of taking my space back. I stripped the sheets, tossed her forgotten hair ties into a trash bag, and even wiped down the bathroom mirror where she used to write little messages in the steam. It was weird, like trying to erase a ghost. But then, while clearing out the drawers in the nightstand on her side of the bed, I found something. Something she definitely didn't mean to leave behind. It was a small pink notebook, the kind she used to carry in her bag for journaling or doodling or whatever. I wouldn't normally snoop, but, after everything I'd learned, I couldn't stop myself. And that's when everything flipped again. Inside were pages of handwritten notes, not poems, not journal entries, but conversations, and not just random ones. These were plans, literal, word-for-word scripts between her and Ethan. Stuff like, "If I tell him I'm too tired for sex again, he won't push back. Try to act distant but not cold, he notices everything. If he checks my location, make sure I'm still technically at the airport." It was like watching my life through a two-way mirror I never knew was there. She'd been orchestrating her exit for months, playing me like some kind of clueless puppet while she moved the chess pieces behind the scenes. And then, the final pages. Those were the real gut punch. "Once Ryan proposes, I'll say yes, by time. If Ethan leaves his fiancée, I'll suddenly feel like Ryan and I aren't compatible anymore. Maybe we can convince Ryan to move out, say I need space, then Ethan can move in quietly." My hands were shaking, like full body trembling. I dropped the notebook like it was on fire. I didn't even realize I was crying until the tears hit the cover. I wasn't just a guy who got cheated on, I was a backup plan, a placeholder. She looked me in the eyes every day, kissed me goodnight, made dinner with me, laughed at my stupid jokes, all while scripting my downfall in a notebook. You won't believe it, but that was the moment I finally let go. Not when I caught her cheating, not when she begged at my door. That moment, reading those words in her handwriting, that was the funeral for our relationship, because now I knew she never loved me the way I loved her. She loved the idea of me, the security, the image, but not me. I tossed the notebook in a box with the rest of her leftover stuff, old slippers, a half-used bottle of conditioner, some receipts she'd tucked into a drawer. I messaged her once, just once, to say, "There's a box of your stuff here, I'll leave it on the porch, pick it up whenever." She replied an hour later. I didn't mean for things to go this far, I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't respond, not because I didn't have 1,000 things I could have said, I just didn't want to give her any more of me, she already had enough. Over the next few weeks, I started piecing myself back together, I saw a therapist, I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in months, I even went hiking alone for the first time, something she always said was too boring to try. Everywhere I went, I saw little reminders of her, but they didn't haunt me the same way, I started seeing them like scars, not painful anymore, just proof that I survived. One night, about a month later, I got a message from Ethan's fiancée. Yeah, that's right. She found me on Instagram and sent a long, polite, brutally honest message saying she'd just discovered the whole affair, and she wanted to apologize, not for him, but because she knew how it felt to be blindsided like that. Turns out, Ethan had also been playing her, keeping her on the hook while promising Alyssa the world. The two of them crashed and burned. Ethan ghosted Alyssa right after the breakup and went back to his old habits, dating around, lying, cheating, the whole routine. I almost felt sorry for her, almost. But in the end, I realized something wild. She didn't ruin me. She freed me. Because I was ready to spend the rest of my life with someone who had already checked out months ago, I was ready to build a family with someone who was busy tearing our life down behind my back, and I might have gone through with it, if I hadn't trusted my gut, opened that Instagram, and seen the truth. So yeah, heartbreak sucks, I'm not gonna pretend I didn't cry more times than I can count, I'm not gonna lie and say I'm over it and everything's sunshine and rainbows now. But I will say this. You won't believe how strong you are until you see the truth, accept it, and walk away, even when it hurts like hell. And if you're going through something similar right now, I see you, and I promise you, one day, the silence will stop being heavy, and it'll start feeling like peace. And that's when you'll know you made it.